Hi, this is Dave Birkett, Lions beat writer for the Oakland Press, back with another edition of Lions Lowdown on theoaklandpress.com and YouTube. First, before we get into our three keys for the Lions-Bears game this week, I'd like to address the Daunte Culpepper rumors. Culpepper came in for a workout earlier this week on Tuesday. By all accounts, he fared well. He passed his physical, and the Lions liked him, and the Lions would like to sign him now. From what I'm being told, it's not going to happen before the Bears game. Probably next week, and I think whenever he does come aboard, he'll become the starter. I don't know how much catching up he'll have to do immediately, but I would expect him to start at least a handful of games with the Lions, assuming he does sign. That would mean Dan Orlovsky and Drew Stanton, the two youngsters vying to be the Lions quarterback of the future, at least under this regime, would be relegated to backup duties. And in my opinion, that's going to really curb their growth and development as quarterbacks a little bit. I think you want to get both those guys out on the field here this year, see what they can do. And at some point this year, you might hear a call down from ownership that says, yeah, it's time to play Drew Stanton. We want to see what we have. Because if this season keeps going as it is, Lions are 0-7 right now. Very well could threaten the NFL record for most losses in a season and go 0-16, first team ever to do that. I think at some point you have to really consider the organization's future and see what you have in a quarterback, a second-round pick last year. Just at the very least, in order to rule him in or out or have a better idea of whether he can handle the job full-time for the next regime, again, assuming that there is one. There's a couple quarterbacks that could be high draft picks next year, and the last thing you want to do is invest $60 million in one of those guys if you potentially have your own quarterback of the future already on your roster. As for this week's game, Lions again 0-7. Things haven't been going too well. Obviously, they've been in the last three games more than they were any of their first four, and that's a credit to Orlovsky on some level, keeping games competitive by not turning the ball over, and that's a credit to Rod Marinelli too. I think he does deserve a little bit of credit here just for keeping the troops energized, keeping them fighting, and no one seems to be giving up on the season. But at some point, they have to get a win. I think it's going to be tough sledding this week in Chicago, but as always, I have three keys that the Lions can do if they want to win. Number one is going to be stop Kyle Orton. Orton's having a heck of a season with the Bears. He threw for 330 yards the first time the Lions played Chicago. He set a career-high quarterback rating. And Brian Urlacher said Wednesday that Orton's playing like a stud right now, that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And the way he's playing, it's hard to argue with him. I mean, he's really energized that Chicago offense, especially with some of Matt Forte's struggles recently. Number two is going to be, from the Lions standpoint, get Calvin Johnson more involved. And I know we've been hammering this for a couple weeks, but Johnson had 4 catches last week, 2 the week before. He's one of the few playmakers that this team has on offense, and they really need to take some opportunities and throw downfield. And even if it's a jump ball or two, you need to get Calvin Johnson the ball. He also had a carry on an end around last week, and I give the Lions credit. They tried to do a little bit more in terms of motioning him and bringing him out of the backfield and things to try to get more favorable matchups. Washington still double-teamed him a lot, and you're going to see that again with Chicago, I think, just because he's really the only receiving threat that the Lions have. But Dan Orlovsky has to stop checking down as much and take a few more chances downfield. And number three for the Lions is going to be own the time of possession battle. I think in 5 of the 7 games they've played this year, they've been on the negative end by more than 10 minutes of time of possession, and that's not going to get it done. I wrote in the paper on Thursday that just about the Lions' lack of talent on defense and the way that the scheme is, really it's a bend but don't break scheme in a lot of ways, and because they don't have the playmakers on defense, they've really been giving up a lot of yards and getting tired and wearing down. And what it comes down to is the Lions need to possess the ball better on offense. They need to get a few first downs early, and I know they want to get the running game going with Rudy Johnson and Kevin Smith. If they can get that going, especially outdoor at Chicago, loosen that defense up a little bit so they can take those shots downfield, so they can keep their defense on the bench and keep them well rested for the fourth quarter, maybe they have a shot. Again, I'm not predicting it. I do think the Lions will get a win or two here before the end of the season, but I wouldn't expect it to come this week at Soldier Field with the Bears still in the thick of the playoff race. Again, I'm Dave Birkett, Lions beat writer for the Oakland Press, and we'll see you next week with another edition of Lions Lowdown.